Good evening, everyone. It's 5:04, not to be mistaken with the 5:04 boys. Y'all wouldn't know that if y'all wasn't in hip hop about 20 years ago. But welcome to Social Entrepreneurship today on November 18th. This is week 12, I believe, of our class. And so I want we have a very exciting class today. We have a speaker who is a social entrepreneur in the STEM space. He will join us at 5:15. But what I want us to do before he gets on, I want us to have updates that everyone is doing. And then two, I want us to talk about our current grade situation and then grades for the rest of the semester. But before I do that, how's everyone feeling? How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good, Judith. Anyone else?
I'm doing good as well. 3 weeks. I'm counting down.
There you go. Okay. Who else? How's everyone feeling? Getting ready for Thanksgiving? How are Thanksgiving plans coming along?
I'm going to see my grandbaby.
Yay! Are you going up to Kansas, Missouri? Oh, yes. Good
Yes.
deal.
So I get to see the little one.
All right. How old is it? He or she?
She'll be 8. She's 8 months.
Oh, brand new baby. This is your first time seeing her?
No.
Okay, cool. Good deal.
Just get to go spend Thanksgiving with her.
So you're going to travel. What are other Thanksgiving plans this year, or for anyone else?
I will be going to Houston for Thanksgiving, so I will be going with my family, and my boyfriend lives in Houston, so we're gonna also be there. So it'll be fun. I'm excited. Good.
It's always having time with family is always good. Reuniting with your significant other is also good as well. So hope you all have a great holiday. Anyone else? Anyone staying here for Thanksgiving? I know I'm staying here. My wife's family is flying in from Miami. Opelousas, I think is where they are in Miami. And then my sister and her family is flying in from Maryland. So we're all going to have family dinner here in Dallas. And it's not in my house. So I'm very excited because I've hosted Thanksgiving the last 2 times, and it is a lot of work. So. Is anyone hosting Thanksgiving at their place? No. Is anyone contributing to the food preparation of Thanksgiving? Deidre, what's your contribution?
Oh, I'm doing the greens and the cabbage. Okay. And then my son is doing the ham and turkey. So.
Okay, you're doing the staple vegetables, the staple sides. That's key.
Right.
You know, who is anyone a professional at this turkey or ham? Yeah, no. Okay, that's real. That's real. All right. I know I'm buying a jerk turkey. So I'm buying it. I'm about to place my order when I get off class today. So it can be a nice week. I can pick it up Wednesday afternoon, keep it warm, and we'll be good to go 2:00 Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon. I say all of that because this is the beginning of the holiday season. And whenever there's a holiday season, final exams or so coming up. And that means another level of stress. A lot of people are either wrapping up their 16-week course or wrapping up their 8-week course if you all are taking a mini 8-week class, a condensed version class, and it can be frustrating. And so I want to make sure that you all are we're all on the same page of this class. And I know that you haven't received your grades from your book report, your social impact book report. And I also want us to talk about your team projects and your exam too, and your case studies, because I don't want you all to be stressed out during this final space. So for the next few minutes, I want to talk. I want to let you all know that one, I am compiling the exam number 2, and like I said, it's going to be the comprehensive exam. We're going to schedule that the last Thursday of class, not your final exam week, but the last Thursday of class. So I believe that is the 1st of December. Let me take a look. It is December 2nd, I believe, is when we're going to have exam 2. So that is in 2 weeks. So we're having Thanksgiving next week. And I was scheduling doing the exam 2 the following week. Now, should we do that December 2nd, or do you want to have it scheduled for December 9th during our final exam time?
December 2nd.
I agree, December 2nd.
There's 2 for December 2nd.
I'm cool with December 2nd.
Okay, there's 3.
That works for me too.
Okay. All right, Judith and Brisa both said the 2nd, so that made it a majority on this call. So I will keep it on December 2nd. That exam will have curriculum from all of your case studies. You've had 2 case studies already. I believe I'm going to assign you a 3rd one. You will probably see that Monday. And I'll probably drop that in the assignment box, and we'll let you all know via announcements so that you all it'll be turned in. The due date will be December 2nd if we do that. So you all will have a week and a half to complete that. I'm sorry. Someone from my last meeting said the combo got slightly awkward when you left. That made me feel uncomfortable because I'm trying to close the deal. But I digress. December 2nd will be your exam. We're going to have 3 case studies. I will implement some questions from the documentary that we saw, the first hour of the documentary. And I will also have some questions from the book, social entrepreneurship book that we read at the beginning of the semester. So please focus on knowing the key concepts of each part, the 3 parts of that textbook. So be sure you know the 3 parts of those, the general principles of the 3 parts of that book. And chances are that'll be your essay question so that you'll have time to expand and expound on. So that's what we'll do. It'll be multiple choice, true, false, and essay. I'm still going to grade your social impact papers. I'm behind because I've been working on this deal for the last couple of weeks, and that has taken my weekend. So I was scheduled to try to read these papers and grade them, but I haven't had a chance to do them. I've read them, I've skimmed them, but I haven't taken a deep grade for them. So that's my goal for this weekend. Team project. What are you all's thoughts on the team project? Have you all started? Have you all seen your groups? I know we have very small groups, 2 or 3 people. Do you all want to keep those groups, or do you all think you all want to make this team project a class project?
Class project.
Why a class project, Dietrich?
Just because everybody can just do it all at once together and just be done.
Will that be an effective? Will you all be able to effectively do it with 9 people in the class?
I don't know. I'm just trying to keep it
so.
simple.
I appreciate your candor. I appreciate your candor. Other people, other thoughts? I heard someone else was saying something.
Yeah, I agree. I would want it to be a class project if everybody would agree to it.
Okay, I am This 9 people is a really, it's a really iffy number for me. It's a little too large to do a group project, but what I don't want to do is have 3 groups of 3 people, because that's a lot of people also. I mean, that's not enough people to do a group for just 9 people, for just 9 students. And so I'm debating on either having you all do it as one large project or separate you all as 2 separate groups. And so that's actually what I'm thinking. I will make that decision by the end of the week, and we'll let you all know. Chances are I'll probably have you all in 2 groups, so I'll consolidate the groups that you all have so that you all can have a couple weeks to do it. And instead of your team project being due on the 2nd, I'll have you all turn in y'all's team project on the 9th, the final exam day. Okay. How does that work for everyone? Cool. It gives you all time to do that. I told you all about the case study. We're going to do one more case study. We're not going to do case study 4. So what I will do is I'm giving everyone 25 points for case study 4, as no one has. I'm not going to assign it, so I'll give everyone full credit. I'm doing it as I'm speaking right now. Let's see, Harry Kennedy, our speaker, is on. I'm gonna log him in. All right, everyone has full credit for your case study 4. I will send you all case study number 3 by the end of this week. I think I have a case study I want you all to see from one of the University of California systems on how this is a different type of business school, and so you'll see that very soon. All right. Are there any questions? No? Okay, good deal. All right, before I give the floor up to Harry. One, is Harry on? I saw he was trying to log in a couple times, but before I give him the floor, I do want to state that Harry is this speaker. I'm bringing on social entrepreneurs without knowledge of what you all are doing, right? Social entrepreneurship is such a novel space. It was a formally developed maybe about 25 years ago in the mid 90s. And this, and now in the teens, 2010 era is when it's really picking up as things are being agitated in the traditional capitalistic system. And so you would normally see people who have traditionally have been lawyers, doctors, engineers, who once they've graduated from their undergrad or their graduate programs, they would have the plan to attend to work at a job, work until they're either financially set or they're able to retire, and then do some type of philanthropic work to give back to their community. Well, this social entrepreneurship model is changing. One, because of the demographics of millennials, Gen Zers, and our way of absorbing information and reacting to that information, whether it is us being very adapted to technology, where we are getting information instantaneous from our devices that'll allow us to either research quicker or allow us to process information to make quicker decisions. It affects the supply chain, it affects business, and it affects how people are employed. Instead of people being employed for 30 years to get their retirement watch, people are now working 3 to 5 years at businesses or corporations and moving other places. Also, the need of giving back, the culture of giving back has changed. Social entrepreneurs have really seen the intersectionality of their job and their purpose, and allowed those 2 things to coexist instead of working really hard for 40, 50, 60, 70 hours and then giving it back freely to their community. And so with that change of culture, you see some efficiencies from people who are providing these services, but you're also seeing relationships being built of people who are in historically disenfranchised communities, seeing the opportunities that are coming about And Harry Kennedy will be one of those people that's been providing programs, at least in the STEM or STEAM space, as long as I've known him. And so he is with us now. Harry, how are you doing, sir?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm doing well. Sorry, there's going to be some background noise. I'll try to walk a little bit, but we're right in the thick of our teaching. And so stop teaching, hop on this call.
And hit him. You just joined, you got on mute. Hold on. So.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. So you're in class. What class? What's going on? Where exactly are you?
So right now I'm at Paul Quinn College. So there's Dr. Frederick D. Haynes Global Preparatory Academy, and we are doing an after-school STEM program. So students are learning about robotics, learning about coding, and also learning about the careers that are associated with those different fields.
Cool. Well, talk to us about how you started there, because I met you when you were at TI, correct? Were you a young engineer at TI?
Yes.
When I met you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I am a native of Rochester, New York. So upstate New York is where I am born and raised. And so I went to Ohio State for electrical engineering. After Ohio State, I made my way a little bit to warmer weather through Texas Instruments. And after Texas Instruments, I worked there for about 3 years. I wanted to do a little bit more, wanted to give back a little bit, but also see and learn about entrepreneurship and those challenges. So I left TI about 2017 and started what is now Hacking Innovation.
Perfect. And tell us a little bit about Hacking Innovation.
Yeah. So Hacking Innovation is a nonprofit that focuses on our vision, which is creating a culture around technical engineering. We have a vision that anyone that is a young student should know about what engineering careers are through hands-on learning and activities, such that as they go into high school, they can see and take the correct classes to put engineering as a career option, such that ideally they go into engineering for college, have a support system to where they're able to work alongside other engineers by joining us as a paid intern, and then work their way to a professional engineer. So our goal is to really bring all levels of, no matter where you're at in your life and your progression, to sort of showcase that engineering is an option. And so we'll dive a little more into some of the dynamics that make that work. But that's the vision that we set in place and that we're sort of building through our actions, through our programs, and through our operations.
Cool. So what brought that change? What made this transition from being an engineer to actually instructing and inspiring other young people to go into the field?
Yeah. And so for me, it was understanding that I have interests that aren't just focused on engineering, but I'd sort of liken it down to this. So at its core, solving problems is something I enjoy. It's why I chose engineering, and it's why I do a lot of what I do today. But having problems to solve that are on the company side is a little bit different than going about it on your own and sort of saying, I want to see if I can design and build a organization, a company of problem solving through a service. So what that means is that in some cases, I could have just volunteered at the local YMCA, but I wanted to work and figure out, can I start solving problems of creating scale, creating a product that someone would pay for, or also creating an opportunity for an experience so good that parents want to come back, students want to come back, and everyone come back together. So what really drove me to switch from doing that, working at corporate, to actually doing it in an entrepreneurship style is that I wanted to figure out what are some complex problems and how could I actually go about trying to solve that, which is that entrepreneurship. There's so many things you have to figure out, solve on a daily that I really appreciate now.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. So I'm doing some rapid fire questions. I apologize about that. Harry. But right now, this is my social entrepreneurship class. I teach entrepreneurship as well. But social entrepreneurship, I think you heard part of my discussion. It's an ever evolving space. It's particularly in this environment where during COVID, it's allowing a lot of different initiatives to catalyze and be able to kind of be test subjects because we're in a season of uncertainty. So talk to us a little bit about your journey as a social entrepreneur, because that's what you're doing. You've created an entity to help the benefit of people, and so in systems and human capital. So talk to us about that transition during COVID and the peaks and downfalls that you have as an entrepreneur.
Gotcha. And yeah, I think you made a great point of stating that, it's the entity, because as you're learning about entrepreneurship, it's figuring out what type of entity we have. So initially I did start off as an LLC and building structure, but understanding, again, solving these business problems of where our revenue comes from, where our outflowing dollars go to, impact we're having, we were able to figure out that that 501c3 structure could be more beneficial and could have us direct access to some of our target customers, which may be grants and maybe corporate companies that are trying to provide and do social good. And so for me, that social part is always going to be there, because giving back and teaching students about what engineering is, and also teaching students that they can be engineers even where they're at, is what really drives me and pushes me. And so regardless of the entity structure, the social part that we want to do is showcase that there are careers out there that their family members might have never been. So students might be first generational college students. Well, we want to showcase to them that engineering is opportunity and it's meant for them. There are also family members or students that may not have the best grades. We want to show them that engineering doesn't mean having A+ in every grade. You can actually fail classes, you can have setbacks, but engineering is still for you. And so we have to sort of build that concept when we're teaching and providing our service to make sure that we're inclusive in that process of explaining that engineering is for everybody. As far as some challenges, I'll start with some of the most recent ones, and maybe after some time we can talk about earlier stages of it. But obviously, most recent is why we're on Zoom right now and not in person, is the pandemic. And so for us, we were at a stage around 2019, 2020. We were at a stage where we were starting to see some traction, understanding more about what products we offer and understanding the value we offer with those products, such that organizations and parents want us to provide summer camps, provide workshops, provide after-school programs. So we started really feeling really good going into that March timeframe that we wanted to provide more summer camps, more workshops, more after-school programs. Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic happened. And so for us, we were trying to figure out, I already had some students that I was hiring as summer interns, and we didn't want to just be complacent of saying, okay, here we go, throw our hands up and call it at the end of the year. We still wanted to try to solve this problem of how can we be impactful, how can we actually create programming, and how can we find a way to still solve a problem? Because again, engineers solve problems. And so what we decided to do was figure out how can we create a teaching structure that could work virtually through Zoom. And it was a process of iteration. So we're trying things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. I think that time frame from like March to June, July, everybody that was trying things and innovating found their version of success. So there were some organizations, some companies, some people that just said, nope, not going to do it. You typically didn't see them last long, and they would go out of business very shortly. But the ones that were trying new things, either a restaurant that would do, there's a local restaurant I would go to that switched to delivering groceries and saying, hey, we have all our fresh eggs, all our, our milk left over, all types of things, we can sell them as groceries. Well, for us, for Hacking Innovation, we thought of, okay, can we do videos of us performing STEM activities, create some interactiveness to it where we would post them on Facebook and see if parents would be interested in it. At first, we spent a lot of time really putting into like the quality of the production of it. And we didn't really figure out who our customer was in this pandemic. So a lot of our effort and work maybe fell on deaf eyes, or maybe it didn't really get received as much as we thought it would. But through that iteration, we learned, how do you actually speak in front of a camera? Do you create slides a little differently? And what we decided and what we built is that we wanted to create a model of providing programming that not only has a Zoom portion to it, but we would mail students kits that they can work on, they can manipulate with their hands, such that while they're watching someone teach, they're putting wires together, they're looking up and down and sort of seeing, they have the right connection, they're sharing their screen. And we created a more interactive model that was hands-on through Zoom, and sort of brought that all together. What we saw through that process at the end is that it only allowed us to be more engaging with the students. And these are students that were bored of being on Zoom, and students that weren't really interested in listening to someone talk about engineering all the time. Having these kits were very engaging, but it also started to open up our customer base. There is an organization in Chicago that saw what we were doing, heard about us, reached out to us, and they actually became the biggest customer of ours, where they ordered, I guess a year to date, around $24,000 worth of programming. And we would have never found that customer if we didn't iterate and innovate, because we had to go through those learning cycles to figure out we wanted a kit plus Zoom scenario. So in that process, what I take from that is that we want to, when we're seeing challenges, make sure that we take it from a process and the mindset that we want to try different things, and also iterate and get better and understand your customer along the way.
Got you. Wow. Well, you tackled on something, one, and that is surviving during this COVID space. I applaud you, one, because you are a fairly new organization. How long have you all been in business?
So as a nonprofit, it's 2 years, but about 2 years, and then LLC, I think about 3.5.
So it's still a really young operation. Even without a pandemic, it is within the parameters of high risk, right? Because it's not a proven model. You have the talent, you have the passion, but you have to create the scalability and the execution of it. And so doing this in this environment, have you seen it more challenging, or have you seen the opportunities more rewarding?
So I think, which is also why I like doing entrepreneurship, is that it's a yes and. So there are definitely a lot more challenges, but a lot more opportunities as well too. And so I liken it again back to the idea of solving problems creates just opportunities over and over again. So one of the problems we solved were finding ways to provide programming virtually to students. This was picked up by a lot of schools that were trying to provide programming, schools that said, hey, students aren't paying attention, they're not joining our Zoom classes, and they're just sort of tired of listening to a screen. So those hands-on programs fix that problem. Another thing that came up though as a result of that is that once this school year started, they wanted to see that same impact in the actual classrooms themselves, and started to figure out, okay, how can we bring this programming here? For us as an organization, that ability to go virtual was very profitable for us, because my teacher could be in Denton, Texas, or even we had teachers that were in Ohio, such that they can teach virtually, provide programming to organizations and schools back to back to back. And they didn't have to worry about travel, didn't have to worry about getting set up and putting things back away. And so that started to create another problem for us, where figuring out how do we keep that level of profitability in our programming while still being able to service not just virtually, but in person as well too. So that's something that, again, we're solving right now as we speak, is figuring out if we can provide a model that we always have virtual teaching that's very profitable for us, couple that with some in-person teaching that might not be as profitable, but it's more impactful because we're hands-on to students. We're seeing the actual success right there, and teachers are seeing it, and figuring out how do we actually take all these different revenue streams, put it together such that organization starts to grow along the process of it. So I guess that's a complex way of answering what are the goods and bads of solving problems.
That was well stated. I appreciate you sharing that. My last question, and then I would like to open it up to my students, is what's your plans going out of the coming out of the pandemic, and let's say your 3 to 5 years, what do you envision this organization, this nonprofit, to look like, and who is it impacting?
Yeah, definitely. And so I think when I look at the conversation of the future, it's also a conversation with yourself of figuring out where I want to be, what things I want to do, and how to go from there. So I'll start personally. I invested a lot of time just figuring out what our programs were, what our product was offering was, what problem we were solving. And that takes a lot out of you on a daily basis, where you're spending a lot of hours getting things set up, making sacrifices. And so one thing I want to do in the next 3 to 5 years is start to settle, just get myself settled back as far as my finances, my just having that balance of social life, and starting to think about other things that matter for me, just like building a family and things like that. So it's okay to always have goals and sort of adjust them over time. And I put that to say, what I want to do with Hack now has been a little different. I don't want to make this an organization where it's just me at the helm of it. I want to figure out how can I get used to hiring people more at a more consistent basis, bring on people that are full-time, that can help us differentiate, that can help us to provide program at scale. So I think the band is getting out, so that's why it's a little bit loud there. But overall, how this all fits into where I see Hack from 3 to 5 years. As the short term for this summer, we are going to do a mix of virtual and in-person. So we want to create little hubs around the Metroplex where we're going to provide in-person programming, while also being fairly aggressive in our virtual programming and offerings, such that, again, we can leverage what we saw with the high profitability of the virtual programs, and also start to create a larger footprint of impact for our in-person. What that'll start doing is that will start to help us to reach our target customer. So as I mentioned earlier, we switched to a nonprofit because we want our target customer to actually be corporations and like larger organizations and grants. Well, if we're doing a lot of work in the community, these companies and corporations want to align themselves with us, and we start to have sponsored camps. We start to have sponsored, interns, and we start to see these companies helping to provide their social impact using us as a vessel. So short term, virtual, in-person, really establish that we can do both effectively. And that's going to help us with the overall revenue to start bringing on people that are full-time. And that's going to be in the program management. It's going to be in the aspect of us to continue to find teachers. And we start to use that to where even if I'm not teaching and I'm not there, the company still moves forward, such that I can focus on the things that grow our business rapidly, such that by year 3, we have a staff. Maybe I'm just more on the board itself and not the executive director, such that I can start to direct the strategic vision more effectively, and not the executive director, which basically means as an executive director, you're really in charge of executing the day-to-day. So I can focus a little bit more from where we need to go strategically along with my board. And also the thing we want to do more is start to build our brand, but also establish, and I think of it as establish like dominance in what we do. So we set the stage today of what programs we offer. So example, I'm in after school program right now. You hear the kids and things like that. We are figuring out that we do this very well. And so we need a couple of years to get the right marketing, to get the right deals, to negotiate with the right schools, such that we can do this at scale. If I have my full-time people, such that Harry is not doing every single class, I can actually fulfill at scale. And now we start to see that dominance because we're everywhere. We have staff, we have students, we have impact, and we just keep taking that cycle and building it over and over again.
Nice. Well, that was a great last question for me. I had you allowed me. I have 3 more questions to ask you, but I'm going to fulfill my promise and open it up to my class students. Do you all have any questions for Harry? It's a trick question. I hope to hear a couple questions from my students.
I have a question, very simple question regarding who is able to join your program? Are you doing this mainly for university students, or do you go for an audience as well?
Gotcha. Let me find the spot.
You're breaking up, Harry.
Connection. So can you hear me okay first?
No, you're still breaking up a little
Can you
bit
hear me?
on my end.
Okay, let me get.
You're here. I hear you now.
Gotcha. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, I heard the question though. The question is, okay, who is my audience and sort of how do we break things down? So what I've noticed is that hacking innovation, one of the things actually I probably would have done differently is that hacking innovation is very complex in the levels of it. And I would say that, I'll explain, I guess, here. Our programming and our target that fulfills our target people that we provide the service to, sorry, tongue twister, is that we do workshops for students. We've also figured out we have an internship program. And at the same time, we're trying to create relationships with corporate companies as well, too. You can already see those are 3 different avatars, a lot of differences between those different audiences and what they need to actually have a good service provided to them. And so it starts to really dilute as far as how fast we can go very narrow. And we now have to switch to a more broad approach. And so when I look at our customers, we've accepted that as part of our business model. And we just have an idea that we want to provide workshops to students and on the consistency. We want to create a model that we hire college interns to provide those workshops. And in seeing those 2 things work, we want to invite corporations to sponsor and to be a part of that learning that's happening. And that becomes how we incorporate all of those different stakeholders as our target audience. Does that answer that question okay?
It does. The reason I actually asked was because I think you're doing really good in, building that business, because I work with a younger audience, middle school kids. And one question that they always ask me is, what are you going to do with your life, or this and that, or what's one thing that you wish you could have done? And I think I could speak for a lot of students who may have graduated, high school, is that first generation student. I remember when I graduated high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I feel like your program has definitely helped out anybody who may have been in that position, not knowing if they can actually make it. So like you mentioned earlier about, giving those people, those students, the opportunity to know that even if you fail a class, even if you think you can't do it, you really can. So I don't know, I just wanted to ask that because I think that's really great. I wish we had, more businesses like that in different other fields.
It was really, it gave me a really great perspective of it. And I agree. It's that idea of showcasing that there are opportunities and options. And I think that's, again, reiterates that social, that it's not just about, straight dollars and the profit line of it, but we want to figure out and make sure we're doing a social good on top of creating a business that's sustainable. Yeah. Cool.
I have a question.
Thank you, Justin.
I have a question. How do you get your information out so people can know about what you're doing as far as the workshop for the kids?
Definitely. So we do a little bit on social media, but we've been leveraging our partners of our organizations, not only to help us with our revenue early on, but to also help us reach our target audience. So I knew that, over time, it's going to take us time to actually fill a classroom by ourselves as a new organization. So why not partner with organizations that already have a student, already have a population, and that need a service. So currently, we're still heavy in that process of providing and partnering with with organizations like school districts and things like that. Hence why I'm at one right now. And we do marketing, we do paid advertisement, because nowadays, when it comes to digital, yes, a lot of people get famous without having to do any paid advertisement, but you'll see a lot of corporations, you have to pay to play, which basically means you have to pay for those advertisements to be seen by a lot of people, enough that they can remember, put on their calendars and sign up. So we take a time to leverage our partnerships with institutions and organizations that already have student populations, while also gaining money and building out sort of a budget such that we can do strategic marketing over time, that we can just pay to get that reach and that bring more people into our environment.
Any other questions? Anything else? If not, Harry, do you have any parting words? I know that you're still outside. I'll let you be able to get back to what you're doing. I appreciate you taking time out.
Yeah, and I'm from New York, so it's nice outside for me.
There you go.
So I think one parting word is that, if anything resonated with you, if you want to learn more, I can share my information in the chat. So I'll try to do text and type at the same time. But we are always I would say we're always keeping an eye out for talent, right? And so one thing I think is a reminder to each of you is that everything can be an opportunity if you can visualize it and execute on it. And so I think that's a way to think about, because, society sort of tells us to overvalue, they're at Harvard, they can do whatever they want. Yet I'm, taking classes via Zoom. I'm not on Boston or California and stuff like that. Well, there are people that can start great companies, that can build opportunities, that can make a really great living, with any situation, based off their mindset, based off their ability to execute, and also to incorporate and work alongside people that are like-minded. So that's the first thing I'll say, is that, I put that out there because I like to work with students that are motivated, students that are activated self-starters, and also students that understand that there's a process to developing. So we have some paid internships, but those are, it's there, but those are for students that are activated, that are motivated, and that are self-starters. Let me just finish typing real quick. Okay, so that's my email, but you can look me up on LinkedIn. You'll sort of be able to find me as well too. I think the second thing, just to close the story, as far as what I already answered the short term, but yeah, what's next is basically us continuing to build out our organization and build out some structure there. And I guess the final thing I'll say as parting words is that similar to engineering, right? There's going to be setbacks along the road, especially with entrepreneurship. There's going to be a lot of setbacks, everything from money, everything from you thought you might have had a big deal and it turned out to be nothing, or you might have thought you had a great deal, got opportunity, and you didn't actually execute when you had the chance to. And so entrepreneurship is mostly about how do you respond to those setbacks. And if it's something that you feel like you can keep pushing forward with and going forward with, go ahead and do it. Keep trying to push yourself, keep trying to develop, but at the same time, make sure you're still learning through the process, and make sure you're still excited and motivated about some part of your business. Doesn't have to be every little thing, every single day, but find and make sure that there's still some part of your business that excites you. And on that note is that if you think that, hey, this no longer excites me, I'm not interested anymore, it's okay to stop and reassess and figure out where you want to be. These 5-year plans and 10-year plans always are going to change. And so there's no one right answer to figuring out how to be an entrepreneur or how to build a business. And so you don't have to go at the speed of lightning all the time. You can take some months where you're just sort of, taking a step back in order to get refreshed and get excited about your business. And again, so there's always a possibility, always a way to get what you're looking for without having to follow the mainstream perspective. And I'm just excited to see what you all do, and reach out to me when you guys make it famous.
Harry, thank you, sir. Thanks for taking the time out to speak to my social entrepreneurship class. Keep doing the great work that you're doing, and look forward to seeing you being successful and making a lot of money and making a lot of impact as well.
Definitely.
All right,
All right,
brother.
thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate Harry for stopping by. He has a really great program that is really impacting kids. I don't know if you all are familiar with the Frederick D. Haynes Charter School. That's at Paul Quinn. It's a great program that's critical in our community. So I appreciate him allowing the students in Dallas to see the brilliance that he has and replicating that so that they can be excited about STEM. So does anyone have any questions or feedback from Harry? No? Well, if not, please, I will publish this on our announcements on Canvas. Please study what he did, what he spoke on. Look at his LinkedIn, study his business model a little bit, or whatever you can find. You may have some context. You may have a question or two on. Good. I'm glad that it was inspiring to listen to him. He's a really good young guy. He's only 31, 32 years old. He's a sharp individual doing some great work. But a question or two maybe on the exam from this discussion. Okay. I've thought about the team project. I think I'm going to remain. You all will still have your 3 groups in your projects. I'm going to keep it in the groups of 3. I don't want to affect that. But we will do it the final exam day, which would be December the 9th. And so I will provide you all with your group's time. Well, everyone will log in. And then what we'll do is each group will present via Zoom here. So, and then I'll grade the papers here, and then we'll go about our way. I'm assuming the presentation will be, you could take 7 to 10 minutes max for each group. I'm guessing the minimal 5 to 6 minutes, but up to 10 minutes. It's not going to be too strict because it's only 3 groups. So I'll love to see you all's team project. If you all need to know more about your project, please look at your syllabus look at your syllabus in Canvas. All right. If there are no other questions, you all have a great Thanksgiving. It goes without saying, we will not have class next Thursday, but I will send you all a message first of the week or late this week, tomorrow, to provide you all your last case study, your case study number 3. Okay. You all have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good Thanksgiving.